Hey guys, to help run the forums, host the website, and travel, we've introduced a universal service fee for in-depth coverage, including this video. My goal is to be unbiased and transparent. It's a privilege to serve you. This is not an endorsement. Let's get into it. Hey guys, we're cruising around downtown Seattle. It's a beautiful day. Rain's kind of let up a little bit, but it's still damp out, so it's wonderful to have the fenders. I'm on the white RadWagon, and I usually choose white if that's an option because it's so visible. You know, you get that big visual footprint from the side. If cars are shining their lights on you, it gets a little dark in the evening time. We are filming this in the winter time, but Rad Power Bikes, they've also got this high visibility, like almost neon orange. Really nice. Only one frame size, but I say only, and you know, frankly, it's highly adjustable. You've got that adjustable stem, these swept back bars, a lot of room to go up or down on that seat tube. I really appreciate that. They've even kept it pretty clear if you add any of these accessories you see. So this is like a finger protective bar here that surrounds children's seats. So they got the Yepp Max. You can actually fit 2 of those in there. So you imagine little kids holding on, and then if you bump something, their little fingers won't get smashed up. That'd be pretty bummer. Pad here too, so you could have a larger kid sitting there. There's so many possibilities with this. That one's like naked, but we took the bags off of it just a minute ago. These things are pretty big. What are these called, Mike?
This is called our Ballard bag.
Ballard bag, and it's really waterproof, and it's got these like reflective, I don't know what shape that is, like a triangle at the front and the rear, so that people won't miss you. Same thing with these tires. These are actually a collaboration between Kenda and Rad Power Bikes. They've got the reflective sidewall stripe, the sort of go anywhere checkered pattern tread, K-shield puncture protection. They're really nice, 26 by 2.3, so they're a little bit wider too. Gives you some stability and comfort with that higher air volume. Because you'll notice there isn't any suspension built into this. You got a longer wheelbase, which tends to be fairly comfortable, a steel fork, which is very sturdy, and it does have some vibration dampening, but otherwise it's those tires, the ergonomic grips, the plush saddle, and Rad Power Bikes does sell like a suspension seat post, and that's 27.2 millimeters if you wanted to add your own. So there's a lot of possibilities here to really outfit this thing, whether it's for hauling kids around or gear or going to school, or maybe you're actually replacing your car, which would be pretty cool. So coming back to just the sort of the stock, no accessorized version, I want to point out that they've still got that defloppulator so that the wheel points straight. See how it does that? And that's important if you're loading the bike and maybe it tips forward or something. It's not gonna kind of skew out or roll, because they've got this extra sturdy double leg center mount kickstand. This can handle up to 100 pounds all on its own, and the bike is weighted at 350 pounds, so it's quite good. Comes with these wooden deck pads. You don't really have to upgrade to get these. These just come with the bike, and I appreciate that, because there are some other companies that they just charge for like every little thing, and this one comes with the clear plastic skirt guard, so if someone's sitting on this, you know, your pants, your dress, they aren't going to get tangled in that and rub on the tires. Comes with the fenders, you got the rubber mud flaps. Same thing at the front. You know, I frequently point out that if you're turning and you're pedaling, you might bump your shoe. That's called like a toe clip, maybe a toe strike, and you won't mess up the fenders that way. So having the rubber is nice. The battery weight's positioned pretty well. You'll notice it's a little bit further forward because this is a rear heavy bike, just because there's so much metal. It's aluminum alloy frame, but they've really reinforced it. You can see all these extra bars here. This might be good for like a bungee loop. And we've got extra bars here, some extra mounting points there, another bungee loop to go that way possibly. It's really, it just totally gets my imagination going. Couple tubes here instead of one, extra gusseting, an extra bar here. So they're still trying to give you that approachable, like I would call this mid-step frame, but keep the frame stiff, because, you know, if you've got a high step frame, you're going to get the maximum like triangular support strength, but then it's going to be harder to approach and mount. And you can imagine if this is all loaded up, you're trying to swing your foot over, you couldn't if you had the Yepp Maxi on the back. So I feel like they've made a great compromise here for approachability and strength. It does weigh a little bit more. This is 73 pounds for this bike. It's, you know, it's more weight than some of the other ones. You can take off about 7.7 pounds if you remove that battery pack. You could remove the front wheel. It does have quick release, but frankly, I think it just kind of wheel this thing forward is the best way to go. And because it does have a twist throttle, you can kind of help yourself up if you're going up a little hill or even up some steps. We've taken this all around the city today, and I have gone up some steps and stuff and just hopped off and walked the bike, and it feels really good. You know, it's a solid product. Rad Power Bikes is known for being kind of value priced. That's how I see them, at least. Now there are other, you know, cargo style bikes like this, like long tail cargo bikes that have like mid drives and things like that, but very few of them actually have a throttle, and I found that that can be helpful if you're getting started. The half grip twist throttle that they've got is one of the best I've seen, because it has this on off switch, so you can disable it so that you don't bump it and accidentally activate the bike, but you can also activate it when you want. That does make this a class 2 electric bike. Goes up to 20 miles per hour. The US version, they actually have a European version now too, which is pretty exciting. We were talking about safety earlier with the white color scheme and stuff, those reflective sidewall stripes, and I want to call out the lights, because now both of them are integrated. In the past, only the front one was. So I'm booting up the display here, held up in mode, and you got some backlighting that's happening there. We've got this Ascendo by Spinninga. It's 60, so I think it's like 60 lux. Pretty good, aimable. It's mounted on this little rod here, so it's up a little bit higher. It won't get clipped by that fender quite as much. They did a good job with that. And then in the rear, you got a Spinninga Solo with flashing mode. This is so cool. So there's a little button on the bottom, and you can actually rotate through and make it solid or flashing. Mike, can I get your help real quick? He's gonna pull the brake levers. They've always had motor inhibitors, but now it has like bright mode. So even if the lights are off and you're just riding around, as soon as you pull those brakes, it's gonna activate that rear light. And I just think that's so cool. Again, it's wired into this high capacity battery pack. Before I get to some of those specs, I wanna call it a couple more things. They're using a high resolution 12 magnet cadence sensor, which means it's, you know, as soon as you start pedaling and there's motion, it activates the motor. You can go to 0 and just use the throttle, which is kind of nice. We got these, you know, pretty good pro wheel crank arms, aluminum alloy Welgo platform pedals, extra wide, very grippy, especially on a day like today where it's a little bit wet out. And there's a chain guide built around the chain ring. So there's a plate on both sides, and that's gonna keep the chain from bouncing off while you're riding. And with that extra long chain, you know, it is a little bit more bouncing that could happen, but they have a neoprene slap guard to try to keep the frame in good shape. And then back here, we've got a Shimano Altus derailleur with a 7 sprocket setup back here. They used to have 3 sprockets in the front, or chain rings, and they've gone to a 1x drivetrain, which I think is nice because it keeps that chain tighter, but you've still got a decent range back here. All of the Rad Power bikes for 2019, they have this 11 to 34 tooth freewheel. So see that really, really big cog? That's gonna give you excellent climbing capabilities, a little bit more leverage, but down to 11 gears or 11 teeth on that smaller ring. So it's a really good balance for going a little bit faster or for climbing. And I personally like the 1x drivetrain. You might say like, oh, we're losing speeds. You know, it used to be like a 21 speed, now it's only 7, but you still get a good gear ratio, especially for going up to 20 miles per hour. And the parts here are pretty decent. So Altus, that's a step up from Attorney, and then they've got this nickel-coated DNP freewheel. It's a little bit nicer hardware, so they went nicer instead of like more gears. They've got something that's going to hold up a little bit better over time and shift smoothly, and it really has been working quite well. This little box right here is the motor controller, and by separating it from the battery, they've kept the batteries a little bit more affordable. $550 if you need to replace that, or get an extra. And you saw the bags earlier. You could totally get one of these, 7.7 pounds, toss it into a bag and double your range. Back to like maybe you're replacing your vehicle. I feel like you totally could with a bike like this, especially depending on how you ride, how far you need to go. With that suspension seat post, things start to look pretty awesome. It's pretty optimistic about all the different use cases that come together on this bike. And just taking a little walk around here, they've updated their branding a little bit. Some of the logos look a little bit nicer, and they've got this badge and stuff. This is where you'd mount a front rack, and you'll notice that as I turn, the mounting point doesn't turn, okay? And so the idea is to give you just maximum stability and support, and you won't dump the load, you won't dump your cargo over. And then there's a little adapter, so you just unplug this light, and then the light goes on the front of the rack. So then it wouldn't point where you steer, whereas right now it does. So I kind of think about that when I'm like accessorizing a bike. Do I want to put my cargo all on the back, or do I really need like front and back? How much weight am I carrying? All kinds of stuff. And then the brakes. 20 miles per hour, you know, can definitely go faster than that when you start coasting down a big hill. You want to be able to stop. So they've got these rather large 180 millimeter disc brake rotors. These are Tektro Aries. They are mechanical, so you see there's a wire right here. That means it's a little bit easier to adjust aftermarket, but a little bit more hand strength required to brake. I think to me this is sort of a cost savings approach, but both disc brakes are 180, so you get pretty good stopping power. And they were telling me that they've got these new conical washers that help them center this, and it makes it a little bit easier to adjust. You're not gonna get the scraping, and even the disc rotor itself is upgraded a little bit thicker to reduce some of the squeaking that people have. Don't touch that, because the oils from your fingers and stuff can add to the squeaking, or if they get dirty, they do have cleaners out there you can look at. You know, it gets wet and there's a little bit of squeaking anyway, just sort of part of the deal. And then down here, do you see this little silver plate? That's actually a torque arm. So with all the power coming from the motor, they just want to spread that into the frame and protect this frame. This is something they've done for a while, and it's something that not every company with hub motors does, and I really feel like they should. It's pretty important. Much like these 12-gauge spokes, they've gone thicker, like heavy-duty stuff. They've tested these a whole bunch, sold tens of thousands of bikes, and all the bikes are using like the same components, which makes it a little bit more affordable to replace, easier to service. And they do have some partnerships with mobile bike repair type services, as well as shops in different cities that can help you receive and build this. But you might be on your own if you live somewhere that's not near a city. You might be receiving this in a big box and kind of setting up yourself. So coming back to ease of adjustability for the end user, that's nice to see. So the motor that they chose here, this is from a company called Shengi. It's a gearless direct drive motor with 750 watt nominal or continuous output, I should say. That's like at the legal limit. That's as high as you can go in the United States for a class 2. It's very quiet, it's very smooth. It weighs a little bit more than some of the geared motors on like the Rad Rover and the Rad Mini, but it gives you regenerative braking, which is kind of neat. So it's a good trade-off. This is gonna be like bulletproof, it's gonna be quiet, but you're gonna also get a little bit of cogging, like magnetic resistance. If you're coasting along, there's just a little bit of drag happening. And as soon as you apply those brakes, it actually enables regen, and it captures up to 250 watts and sends that energy back into the battery. And really, it helps to save your disc brake pads as well. So they're taking advantage of that motor. I think that the choice is probably try to get something that's really durable, smooth, and quiet. And then they went ahead and got the regen, which some companies don't, which is kind of surprising to me. Most companies these days, seems like they're using the little geared planetary hub motors. And I think it's unique and it actually works pretty well to have this on the RadWagon as well as the Rad City. And they purposely did that. They do have geared motors on like more of the off-road bikes. So we come up to the front here. We were talking about the adjustable stem, the swept-back handlebars. There's our shifter mechanism. So there's 7 speeds. You can shift through like this. It's fairly easy to understand. There's that little window. But it does take a little bit more reaching to get up here. And I was curious about that for a long time, and I was thinking like they do have trigger shifters, but they wouldn't really fit right here with the on-off button. So I feel like they've done the best they could with this, and it does still work very well if you have gloves on, so it's a good year-round setup. Here are the brake levers. They've got this rubberized edge, which is nice and comfortable, especially if you're not wearing gloves. It just, you know, plenty of length to these. They give you enough leverage. We've got these ergonomic grips here. They are not locking, so this is one of the other areas where I think it's just a little bit cheaper. You know, they've put some value parts, but these are ones that are easy and affordable to replace if you do start to notice some slipping or spinning. So that would be my advice. They've got an integrated bell on the brake lever. Really like that. And then we're gonna get to the display. But first, you know, we were talking about the battery pack and how it's replaceable and everything. This is a 48 volt, 14 amp hour pack. It's got Samsung lithium ion cells inside. 18650 is the size. So that's what they use in like electric cars and stuff too. They're very durable, they last a long time, but they are a little bit temperature sensitive. So if it's extremely cold or hot, you just wanna kind of keep that cool if you can. Maybe bring it inside to work with you or store it inside overnight. Try not to drop it, that kind of thing. If we unlocked it, it would just slide up and then come out from the side. They've got 3 bolts in the bottom, so it's definitely sturdy. Sometimes these like externally mounted batteries seem a little bit kind of like an afterthought, but Rad Power Bikes, that's not the case. I mean, you can see the bike frame's custom made, and it's even stepped down right here so the battery fits in a little bit more snugly. It looks nice. And then bottle cage bosses, gotta love that. Yeah, there's plenty of cargo capacity on that rear rack, but being able to put like a folding lock right here or a mini pump or whatever, it just takes you that extra distance, and it's something I really appreciate. Okay, so the battery's charged, it's mounted, you're ready to go. The bike's all loaded up. To turn it on, you hold the mode button here, and it comes to life. It gives you your battery capacity. There's 5 ticks, 20% increments. That leaves something to be desired for me. I kind of wish there was 10 or maybe even a percentage readout, but this is not uncommon. This is like a King meter display that's co-branded with Rad Power Bikes. They have a lot of buying power, so whether it's the tires or the display or some of the other parts, they've done a great job branding and making it look nice. There's an odometer in the top right, and if you press mode, it goes to trip. In the middle, there's speed in miles per hour, but you could change it to kilometers per hour by holding up and down. It gets to the settings menu. Pedal assist level, it always starts in 1, so there's a little bit of help, kind of offsetting the weight of this bike, but you can also use the throttle. And if we take it down to 0, that's throttle only mode, so it's kind of just like a little scooter or something. And then all the way up to 5. And 5 is pretty zippy, but it's going to use power a little bit more quickly, so kind of keep that in mind. We already had the lights enabled a second ago, but if we wanted to do that again, when you turn it on, they're not enabled. You'd hold mode and up. There we go, and that's how you do that. So I think that's pretty much it. We've gone through a lot of the different options here besides walk mode. I'm holding the down arrow right now, and you can see that wheel spinning. The reason I'm showing you that on this bike in particular is because it is a little bit heavier, and there are places like this park where you're not supposed to ride a bike, but you're pushing this big heavy thing. It's nice that it can help you out. So that's a feature that I love. Love that they've included it, as well as this USB Type A charging port. So this puts out an amp versus 500 milliamps. So if you plugged your phone in or something and mounted it right here, maybe an additional light, you could run it right off that high capacity battery pack. And that's really convenient. So the cockpit's set up well, it works good. This can be swiveled a little bit, but it can't be removed. So over time, it might take a little bit more wear when parked at a rack or just the sun and the rain, but all of this is highly water resistant stuff. And Rad Power Bikes has a year-long comprehensive warranty, and they've got a team that's, I think it's like, what's the sort of the standby time for the support team at Rad Power Bikes, guys?
The tech support team, we try and hit our same-day response Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
Hours,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's like business hours. You can call and you can actually talk to someone.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I've visited the office. I've talked to people before, and I see them they're super friendly. There's bikes like all over the office, so they can kind of like go over and look at it if you're confused or whatever. And then there's a lot of replacement parts. To me, it's neat that they're using the same batteries across the whole fleet of bikes, that their pricing is pretty approachable so more people can get onto electric bikes, and that, just the warranty and stuff is there. Because a lot of these sales it's kind of online. It's not through a shop. But where are the 2 shops that you have? You have flagship stores, right?
We have 3 flagship stores. We have one in Seattle. We have one located up in Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
And then we have a third one in the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands. Oh, I got to check this out. Why are we in the Netherlands right now? That's where we got to go next time. Although it kind of feels like we're in the Netherlands just because we got the beautiful, like the water, and maybe they don't have mountains there. I don't know. We saw the Olympic stuff in the background. We've gone over a lot of stuff. You guys have heard me kind of picking through the bike, but is there anything you feel like maybe I didn't catch or that you want to call out, Corey?
I'd like to point out that the standover height we have on this bike is 26 inches, so it's able to accommodate a really wide range of riders. And
Nice.
There's kind of a number of things like the tires, how we have the Kenda K-Shield puncture-resistant material added this year.
Yeah.
Just designed to make sure that this bike is able to be used for everything by a wide range of people.
And that's a big deal. Like changing a flat tire on any bike is kind of a bummer, but this is a bigger, heavier bike. And with more weight on the rear, like if you did have kids or something, that I think it makes it easier to get pinch flats in particular. So it's a good idea to keep those inflated to the recommended PSI.
Definitely.
Which I have listed back at the website, right? Along with all the measurements. Corey actually helped me out. He did a great job. So yeah, I think that's it. We got panniers, they got the big ones, the small ones, they got the racks and stuff, front racks, they got these big like pizza box size bags with reflectors on them. It's just crazy. And this is Mike, co-founder and CEO of the company. How are you doing?
Hey, good.
Do you feel like there's anything else that this bike is pretty special because there's so much to it?
Yeah, you captured it. It's just, we tried to just pack in a lot of utility into one bike. So
Yeah.
like the little details in the rear of the frame where you can attach bungee cords. We do these things because we live and breathe on these bikes. So it's like our design's both inspired by our own use and our customers' use. So yeah, we've had a lot of fun designing this bike and using it in the city. I mean, our company's gone from a lot of, pretty young people just out of school to now a very diverse workforce.
Parents?
So
So
yeah,
a
a
lot
lot
of
of parents. And so we're having our holiday party tomorrow. We're making cookies with everyone's bringing their kids
I
to the
fly
office.
out tomorrow. Was this part of the plan, Mike? What the heck, man?
Yeah, you don't eat cookies, so
Oh,
I
that's
was looking
right.
out for
I'm
you.
lactose
Yeah.
intolerant. So, the takeaway here is it's a very versatile platform. It seems like this is one of the more popular bikes that you sell. I've seen a bunch just riding around Seattle today. A lot of people commuting to work and doing that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So the downsides of this, though, we talked about that it's a little bit heavier. Some of the weight is positioned towards the rear, so sometimes you're riding and it's a little bit of a different feel. But it's pretty easy to load. It's very durable. The parts are modular. It's replaceable. I think that's the story. Should we get on these things and go for a ride?
Let's do it.
Sweet. So this is kind of cool. I was amazed at how quickly you can disconnect some of these accessories. Got the Yepp seat. It's got a little leash right there, and it clips into what they call like a Yepp window. These little rectangles right here, and then the seat pad. What's the seat pad called, Mike?
Deck pad.
A deck pad.
Yeah.
Okay, and then is this a school bus? Is that what that's?
The caboose.
The caboose. Sweet. Oh, it's like the end of a train or something. And there's still plenty of room for that light. And I love the Yepp seat. It's got the extra reflectors and stuff so that you can be seen from behind. It's a really nice setup. And you sell those through your website, right?
Yes.
Very cool. Okay guys, we walked down to this nice little bike path and I'm about to get on, but I want to call out, you'll notice that my seat is pretty high. It's because I have a longer inseam. That's what I was talking about. It's very adjustable. And I love that they've got that extra large seat post clamp right there. So it's just going to be a little bit easier to pull on. You know, as someone with cold hands right now, it's nice that you're not having to like hurt your hands and really like tug on it, but you can tighten it down and then the seat's not going to be sliding around on you. Especially with all the cargo and other things to deal with. That's something they've done. They've upgraded this year for all their bikes, and it's another one of those little finer points that you start to appreciate when you've ridden a lot of bikes. So I'm going to take this up to assist level 3. I'm going to pedal, and actually I'm going to take it to 5 because I want you to try to be able to hear the motor, but I don't think you're going to be able to with that skirt, and because it's a gearless direct drive. I pedal along. Whoop, there we go. Very easily and quickly get up to your top speed. It's not really a problem, especially I'm a fairly lightweight rider. I'm like 135 pounds. The bike's completely unloaded right now, but I have ridden this with another person on the back, and it definitely, you notice it. There's more weight, but with the motor, it's very doable. And in a place like Seattle where there are a lot of hills and stuff, it's nice to be able to rely on that motor to help you. We've been riding around for a while. I wanted to call out just another thing that I experienced. There's plenty of room here from the pedal to these decks, but if you put your feet down and if you kind of set them down and the bike's moving forward, you could run over your foot a little bit, and that wouldn't feel very good. I make this point whenever I review like trikes or anything that has bars here, just because you don't want to hurt your foot. So do be careful about that. But again, I think the positioning here is great. Yeah, it's just a beautiful day. It's so cool to see all those accessories. Like, definitely gets my mind going. If you had kids or whatever, this would be a great setup. There's a whole category emerging around like cargo bikes, and I've seen some shorter ones and longer ones, and frankly, with all the accessories, most of the other bikes with the racks from Rad Power Bikes, they actually work with that same Yepp seat. So it's neat to be able to pick and choose. Like, do you need something that's a little bit longer like this? Do you want to spend a little bit less? You could get a Rad City or whatever, and that also works with the car seat, or the child seat as it were. No cars out here, guys. I think it's really cool. As always, I welcome your feedback and questions and comments and stuff. I do my best out here, and we've measured the length and the width and everything, so you'll be able to figure out if it'll fit into your garage or wherever. Definitely take good care of that battery pack, but otherwise, have a great day, ride safe, and we'll see you next time.